The intrusion began quietly, too quietly for an event that would shake the galaxy. At 0340 Standard Galactic Time, a cluster of unknown signatures slipped across the border of the Sol frontier. Automated beacons lit up instantly, broadcasting the same message they had repeated for centuries. Warning: you are entering sovereign human space. Turn back immediately. The invaders did not turn back. The alien fleet, 7 cruisers, 15 escorts, and a flagship bristling with weapons, ignored the warnings with casual arrogance. Their commander, High Marshal Vector, watched the holographic border marker dissolve behind them. So this is humanity's mighty territory? He mocked. A silent void. Weaklings hiding behind warnings. His officers laughed. They had crossed countless borders, conquered countless lesser species. Humans, they believed, were just another primitive race. Loud, emotional, undisciplined. Conquest would be simple. But deep within human space, alarms were already sounding. At Outpost Helios 9, Lieutenant Mara Idris snapped awake as the intrusion alarms roared through the station. She rushed to the command deck, heart pounding but movements steady, trained. "Report," she ordered. "Multiple contacts, Lieutenant," the sensor officer replied. "Unknown fleet violated the border zone. They're not slowing down." Mara's jaw tightened. "Transmit the second warning." A calm, authoritative voice echoed across space. "Turn back now. Human territory will be defended." Seconds later, the alien flagship fired a high-energy spike directly at the beacon, vaporizing it in a flare of white plasma. Helios 9 fell silent. "They just attacked an unmanned station," the officer whispered. "Are they insane?" Mara didn't answer. She already knew what came next. She pressed a series of encrypted codes, initiating the one protocol every human officer prayed they'd never have to use. Ares Response Protocol engaged. Earth Command received the alert instantly. In the Sol Defense Nexus, High Admiral Rhea Calder stood before a massive tactical display showing the intruding fleet. Her voice was calm, even cold. "They crossed into our territory. Destroyed our beacon. They made their decision." Her staff waited, tense and silent. "Mobilize the 3rd, 5th, and 12th Fleet. Activate black site shipyards. Prepare the Resolute for deployment." There was a collective intake of breath. The Resolute was not a ship. They called it a planet killer wrapped in steel. Humanity's most classified dreadnought, a vessel built only for wars humans intended to finish. "Yes, Admiral," her commanders replied. Rhea stared at the display, watching the alien silhouettes creep deeper into human territory. "They had their warnings," she murmured. "This time, we respond." Meanwhile, aboard the alien flagship, Marshal Vector remained blissfully unaware of the force he had awakened. "Scan ahead," he ordered. "Are the humans mobilizing yet?" His sensor chief frowned. "Strange readings, Marshal. Multiple signatures moving at impossible speeds. And something massive just emerged from slipspace far ahead of us." Vector chuckled. "Let them come. We'll crush their little defense fleet." The sensor chief swallowed hard. "Marshal, that is not a defense fleet." He turned the display. The alien bridge went silent. A single human ship had appeared. Enormous, dark, silent. A dreadnought. The Resolute. It hung in space like a judgment-given form, eclipsing the stars behind it. Vector's confidence evaporated. Impossible. They weren't supposed to have anything like that. The human ship moved, slow, deliberate, unstoppable. Then a message came through, clear and cold. "Alien fleet, you have violated human space. Prepare to face consequences." Fear finally touched every alien on the bridge. For the first time, they understood. Entering human space had been their final mistake. The silence after the warning was worse than the message itself. Marshal Vector stared at the colossal human dreadnought filling his display. The Resolute didn't move like a ship. It moved like a force of nature, inevitable, calm, and utterly certain of victory. "Maintain formation," he barked, masking his fear. Their vessel is large, but their technology is primitive. Size does not win battles. His officers hesitated. Even they didn't believe that. Deep inside the Resolute, the bridge was alive with controlled intensity. Captain Darius Hale stood with hands behind his back, watching the alien fleet advance. His crew operated in silent coordination. No panic, no wasted movement, only the stillness of professionals who had trained for this exact moment. Target acquisition? Darius asked. All hostile ships locked, replied Tactical Officer Lin. Cross-spectrum scans indicate they're running outdated shielding and mid-tier weapon arrays. Our rail batteries will cut straight through. Good. Darius nodded. Project the firing pattern. A holographic sphere formed. Alien ships marked in red, human vectors in blue, a perfect net of fire. The plan was not simply to win. It was to end the engagement decisively and without ambiguity. Hold fire, Darius commanded. We give them one chance. Communications opened. Alien fleet, he said, voice steady as forged iron. This is Captain Hale of the HSS Resolute. Turn back now. This is your final warning. On the alien bridge, Vector slammed a fist onto the console. Do they think they can intimidate us? Arm plasma cannons. Prepare a full volley barrage. His second-in-command hesitated. Marshal, if their weapon systems are as advanced as they appear. Fire! Vector roared. The alien fleet unleashed a brilliant storm of plasma bolts and energy lances. The barrage streaked across the void, converging on the Resolute like a miniature sun. On the human bridge, no one moved. No one flinched. The blasts slammed into the Resolute's hull, and were absorbed harmlessly into shimmering energy field. The massive ship didn't tilt, didn't slow, didn't even warm. The alien fleet fell silent. What kind of shielding is that? Vector whispered. His sensor chief shook, antenna trembling. Marshal, the energy displacement is beyond anything in our databank. They didn't even calculate for this level of power. Captain Hale's expression didn't change. Return fire, he said. The Resolute answered with a roar, railguns firing in perfect staggered rhythm, each slug the size of a shuttle, accelerated to a fraction of light speed. The first shot tore clean through an alien cruiser, splitting it open like wet paper. The second demolished an escort. The third vaporized a battleship's shield generator in a single, surgical strike. Then the missile pods opened. Dozens of kinetic spears and micro-guided warheads streaked out in a disciplined wave. Each weapon found its mark with terrifying precision. Alien ships burst apart, one after another, their formations collapsing before they could even attempt evasive maneuvers. In Helios, 9 Outpost, Lieutenant Mara Idris watched the feed with disbelief. That's not a battle, she whispered. That's an execution. Her commanding officer nodded grimly. They crossed the line. Humanity doesn't allow second chances. On the alien flagship, alarms screamed. Sparks erupted from consoles. Officers scrambled, shouting in panic. Marshal! Half the fleet is gone. Our forward line is shattered. Our warp drives are destabilizing, we can't retreat. Vector stared at the tactical display as ship after ship vanished from the field. This wasn't supposed to happen, he murmured, sinking into his command chair. Humans were supposed to be weak. A final message came through the speakers, calm and merciless. You were warned. The dreadnought advanced, its rail batteries cycling again. Humanity had mobilized, and their fire had only just begun. The battlefield had become a graveyard, silent, burning, and filled with drifting debris. What remained of the alien fleet struggled to regroup, but the Resolute gave them no time to breathe, no gap to exploit, no mercy to hope for. Marshal Vector gripped the edge of his command console, claws digging into the metal. Pull all remaining ships into a defensive wedge. We must form a barrier. He stopped mid-sentence as his tactical display flickered. A new wave of human signatures appeared. Smaller than the Resolute, but faster. Sleeker. Deadlier. Human support ships, frigates, interceptors, stealth corvettes, emerged from micro-jumps around the alien fleet like predators closing in on trapped prey. They planned this, Vector whispered. They were waiting for us. On the Resolute's bridge, Captain Darius Hale watched the enemy try to tighten their formation. Predictable, he said quietly. Lock onto their command carrier. Break their coordination. Target locked, Tactical Officer Lin confirmed. Releasing disruption drones. A hatch opened beneath the Resolute's hull. A swarm of small, crescent-shaped drones launched, accelerating instantly to lethal speed. They moved like silver ghosts, phasing in and out of enemy sensor sweep. The aliens saw nothing, until it was too late. The drones detonated in a synchronized pulse, sending a storm of high-frequency interference through the alien formation. Their communications collapsed. Targeting failed. Shield harmonics destabilized. Alien ships drifted off course, colliding with debris or each other. Beautiful, Lin murmured. Vector's bridge dissolved into chaos. Communications offline. Shields collapsing. Our navigation is scrambled, sir. We've lost control of the carrier. The flagship spun slowly, helplessly, unable to realign its systems. Steady it, Vector shouted. Realign the stabilizers. We're trying, Marshal. But they're drones. A shockwave cut the officer off. The Resolute had opened fire again. This time, it wasn't railguns. It wasn't missiles. It was the dreadnought's spinal-mounted weapon, an energy beam so concentrated it bent space as it fired. A single beam. A single heartbeat. The alien command carrier evaporated into incandescent dust. Silence filled the alien flagship. Vector fell back into his chair, defeated before his ship was even hit. This cannot be real. Human fleets moved in. Support frigates darted around fleeing alien escorts with surgical precision, firing kinetic penetrators directly into engine cores. Alien ships blossomed into silent explosions. Corvettes slipped between cruisers, planting EMP lances that ripped apart internal systems. Interceptors shredded alien fighter screens in seconds, leaving no survivors. On every screen that monitored the battle, the same image repeated. Aliens trying to flee. Humans cutting off every escape path. In the sole defense nexus, Admiral Rhea Calder observed without flinching. Status? She asked. Her aide swallowed. Alien fleet losses. Catastrophic. They're attempting to break left flank, but Resolute is repositioning to intercept. Rhea nodded. Good. They need to understand the consequence of trespassing here. Her tone was not angry. It was final. Unbreakable. Human. On board the alien flagship, the bridge flickered as more systems overloaded. They're surrounding us, Marshal, an officer cried. We must retreat now. We can't, another shouted. All warp exits are blocked. Every alien face turned pale. Then their tactical display shifted, showing the Resolute moving again. Slow. Inevitable. Predator tracking wounded prey. The dreadnought positioned itself directly in front of the flagship, guns angled downward like a judge about to render a sentence. A final transmission came through. Captain Hale's voice was calm, merciless. Surrender is no longer an option. Vector felt his heart collapse inside his chest. They had never faced a species like this. Not in all their centuries of domination. Humans did not chase. They hunted. And the galaxy was about to learn the difference. The alien flagship drifted helplessly, its stabilizers failing, its engines sputtering. Marshal Vector watched the Resolute loom closer, its hull glowing faintly with the heat of battle, yet still unscarred, untouched, unstoppable. Humanity wasn't simply winning. They were demonstrating what happened when a civilization ignored every warning and trespassed into territory defended by a species that refused to be prey. On the Resolute's bridge, Captain Darius Hale stood like a statue carved from iron. Begin the retribution barrage, he ordered. No raised voice. No dramatic flourish. Just the calm certainty of a man executing a necessary act. Retribution barrage confirmed, Tactical Officer Lin replied. A ripple of movement shuddered through the dreadnought. Gun ports slid open. Missile racks rotated. Plasma conduits charged. Then the weapons fired. It wasn't a volley. It was a storm. Rail slugs streaked across the void like burning spears. Plasma cascades arced in golden waves. Micromissiles traced deadly curves toward every weakened vessel in the alien formation. Alien cruisers ignited in bright bursts of white fire. Escorts shattered under kinetic impacts, torn into glowing shards. Their remaining battleships attempted to retreat, only to collide with human interceptors already waiting in their path. Every escape route closed. Every maneuver was anticipated. Every attempt to survive was crushed. The Resolute did not fight like a ship. It fought like an executioner. Inside the alien flagship, the bridge drowned in red emergency light. Rear decks are gone. We've lost all weapon control. Human ships are everywhere, everywhere. Vector stood frozen, unable to command, unable to think. His officers shouted, cried, desperately tried to restore order, but it was pointless. A new tremor shook the vessel. The dreadnought had fired a disabling pulse, a weapon designed not to kill, but to shut down an enemy's systems long enough for boarding or destruction. We're dead, one alien officer whispered. We angered monsters. No, Vector murmured shakily. Monsters kill without reason. Humans kill with purpose. The deck lurched violently. One of their sister ships had just detonated. Too close. Evacuate critical compartments, someone yelled. But alarms drowned out every voice. The flagship's hull was collapsing. Meanwhile, human forces continued their sweep. Frigates moved in synchronized pairs, clearing debris and finishing crippled target. Stealth corvettes darted like shadows, firing EMP spikes that turned armored ships into drifting corpses. Orbital platforms on the fringe of the system activated, sending long-range kinetic strikes that pierced fleeing vessels before they could even reach the jump corridor. The aliens never stood a chance. Not anymore. Not after they made the mistake of entering human space. On board the Resolute, the final stage began. Flagship weapon systems offline, Lin reported. Engines failing. Shields gone. Open channel, Captain Hale said. A channel opened. Vector appeared on the screen, battered, trembling, eyes wide with disbelief. Hale spoke first. You were warned. Vector swallowed. Human, why such ruthlessness? Why such destruction? We could have. You crossed into our home, Hale said. You attacked our outpost. You ignored every chance to leave in peace. His voice hardened. Humans do not start wars. But we finish them. The channel closed. End it, Hale ordered. One final rail slug, fired from the dreadnought's primary battery, punched through the flagship's core reactor. The explosion consumed the entire vessel in a sphere of blinding white light. Silence followed. The alien fleet no longer existed. What remained were drifting fragments, curling smoke, and the cold certainty that humanity had delivered its message with absolute clarity. Lieutenant Mara Idris watched from Helios, 9, breath held tight. It's over, she whispered. Her commander nodded. No. This is the beginning. The galaxy will talk about this for centuries. And they would. Because the moment the alien fleet crossed the border, they sealed their fate. Humanity would not be violated. Humanity would not be intimidated. Humanity would answer with fire. The battlefield was silent, save for the soft crackle of dying flames drifting from the remains of alien hulls. Where once an armada had advanced with confidence and pride, only ruins floated now, scattered like ash across the void. Humanity hadn't simply defended Helios, 9. They'd carved their warning into the stars. Captain Darius Hale stood on the Resolute's observation deck, staring out at the aftermath. His reflection hovered in the glass, tired, immovable, unbowed. Mara Idris approached, still in shock at what she had witnessed. Sir, the galaxy will think we're monsters. Hale didn't turn. Let them. She hesitated. Was this really necessary? He finally looked at her, calm, steady, with the gaze of a man who had carried a burden long before Helios 9 was attacked. They came here believing we were weak. They looked at Earth and saw a world too quiet, too peaceful, too willing to negotiate. He exhaled slowly. Peace makes some species arrogant. Mara nodded, silently absorbing the truth. We showed them, Hale continued, that peace is a choice, not a weakness. Across the galaxy the transmission spread. A short clip, the alien flagship detonating in a blinding sphere of white fire. A single line of text below it. Do not enter human space. No government tried to censor it. No empire dared challenge it. No species pretended it didn't matter. The message was simple, final, absolute, and it ignited fear everywhere. In the halls of the Vroth Dominion, diplomats trembled. In the monasteries of the Zelic Ascendancy, monks whispered ancient warnings. Even on the fringe worlds of the Syndicate, hardened warlords reconsidered any plans involving Earth. The humans had drawn a line, and then shown what happened when it was crossed. Aboard the remains of the alien civilization's council ship, a meeting was held in terrified urgency. Representatives spoke over each other, arguing, pleading. We underestimated them. They destroyed an entire fleet. Our models said they were primitive. Our models were wrong. An elder, one who had warned the council decades earlier, finally stood. You have awakened something you do not understand, she said softly. Humans are not conquerors. But attack them, and you invite extinction. Her voice trembled, not with frailty, but with certainty. This defeat will be remembered as the day of ash. Do not ever provoke Earth again. Silence filled the chamber. For once they all agreed. Back on Helios 9 the repairs began. Human engineers worked side by side with planetary defense units, rebuilding what had been shattered. Mara Idris walked beside Hale as drones cleared debris. What now? She asked. Now, Hale said, we prepare. For what? For the next ones. She frowned. You think someone else will try? Of course, he replied. Someone always does. But after today, won't they be afraid? Hale's gaze drifted outward, toward the endless horizon of stars. They won't fear us because we're cruel, he said. They'll fear us because we don't stop. Because when someone comes for our people, we rise. We unify. We endure. He paused. And we don't lose. As night fell over Helios 9, its citizens gathered outside, families, children, scientists, soldiers, looking up at the sky now free of enemy ships. A child tugged on her mother's sleeve. Mama, are the humans really that strong? Her mother nodded gently. Yes, little one. They are. Will they protect us too? The woman smiled softly. They already have. And so the story spread. The day an alien armada invaded human territory. The day a single dreadnought answered. The day humanity reminded the galaxy why attacking Earth was the last mistake anyone ever made. Because when threatened, humans fought with something stronger than weapons. Unbreakable unity, unyielding resolve, and the fire of a species that refused to bow. And that truth echoed across the stars. Do not enter human space. The galaxy listened, and trembled,